The galaxy had never been so scared. The swarm had returned. It was not a species. It was not an empire. It was a hunger. A living hunger that had eaten 3 galaxies before disappearing 10,000 years ago. No one knew why it left. No one knew why it came back. They only knew one thing. It was hungry again. The Coalition of 12 was the strongest alliance in the galaxy. 12 species. Thousands of ships. Millions of soldiers. They had fought the swarm for 2 years. They had lost every battle. Every planet they tried to save, the swarm ate. Every fleet they sent, the swarm destroyed. Nothing worked. Now there was only one battle left. The swarm was moving toward the core worlds. The heart of the galaxy. If the core worlds fell, everything fell. There would be no more battles. No more hope. Just hunger. The Coalition gathered every ship they had. 20,000 warships. 30 million soldiers. The largest fleet in galactic history. They waited at the edge of the core worlds. Behind them, billions of civilians hid in shelters. In front of them, the swarm approached like a dark cloud. The Coalition commander was a Krell named Vorus. He was old. He had fought in 100 battles. He had never lost. But his hands shook as he looked at his display. The swarm was so large that his senses could not see the end of it. Millions of creatures. Maybe billions. Each one hungry. Each one part of a single mind that wanted only to eat. Vorus had one hope. One desperate, foolish hope. He had asked humans for help. Humans were new to the galaxy. They had only had faster-than-light travel for 200 years. They were small. Their territory was tiny. Their fleet was old. Most species did not take them seriously. But Vorus had heard stories. Humans had done impossible things. They had won wars they should have lost. They had survived disasters that should have killed them. They had a talent for surviving when the numbers said they should die. Vorus had sent the message 3 days ago. Humanity, the swarm is coming. We cannot stop it alone. We need your ships, your soldiers, your willingness to fight. Please come. Please help us. The answer came back 1 hour later. A single word. Coming. That was all. No details. No numbers. No promises. Just coming. Now Vorus stood on the bridge of his flagship. The battle was about to begin. He looked at his display. No human ships. He checked the time. The swarm would be in firing range in 10 minutes. Still no human ships. He sent another message. Human fleet. Where are you? We need you now. No answer. The swarm attacked. Waves of creatures pawed toward the Coalition lines. The Coalition fired everything. Every weapon. Every missile. Every energy beam. The sky turned white with fire. The swarm kept coming. For every creature the Coalition killed, 10 more took its place. For every ship they destroyed, 20 more appeared. The numbers were impossible. The fight was hopeless. Vorus watched his fleet die. Ships exploded on the left. Ships exploded on the right. Soldiers screamed over the radio. Then the radios went silent. He looked for human ships again. Nothing. He called for human reinforcements again. No answer. Hours passed. The Coalition lost 5,000 ships. Then 10,000. Then 15,000. The swarm was pushing through the lines. The core worlds were exposed. There was nothing left to stop the hunger. Vorus closed his eyes. It was over. The galaxy would fall. Everyone would die. He had hoped for a miracle. The miracle had not come. Then his sensor officer shouted, "Commander! A ship! A human ship!" Vorus opened his eyes. He looked at the display. One small dot. One tiny human ship. It was not a warship. It was a cargo vessel. Old. Slow. Unarmed. It had no weapons. No shields. No soldiers. Vorus stared at the display. His hope turned to anger. One ship. They sent one ship. A cargo ship. We are dying here. We asked for help. We asked for warriors. They sent a box with engines. He opened a channel to the human ship. His voice was loud. Angry. Desperate. Where are your weapons? Where are your soldiers? Where is your fleet? We cannot win with one cargo ship. What are you doing here? The human captain's voice was calm. Quiet. Almost peaceful. She sounded like someone who knew something that no one else knew. We did not send weapons, she said. We sent something better. The cargo ship opened its bay doors. Inside was a single small package. No bigger than a human child. It was plain. Gray. Unmarked. It looked like nothing. The package floated out into space. The human ship turned around. Its engines fired. It flew away. It did not look back. Vorus watched the package drift. He wanted to scream. He wanted to cry. He had asked for salvation. Humans had sent a box. The swarm ignored the small package. It kept attacking. The coalition kept dying. The core worlds waited for the end. Then the package opened. And everything changed. The human ship appeared from nowhere. One moment the space was empty. The next moment, a small old cargo vessel drifted into the middle of the battle. It moved slowly. Its engines coughed black smoke. Its hull was covered in rust and patches. The coalition commander, Vorus, stared at his display. His hands stopped shaking. His heart stopped pounding. He felt something he had not felt in years. Hope. The humans had come. They had sent their fleet. They would save everyone. Then he saw the rest of the display. No other ships. Just one. One small cargo vessel. No weapons. No shields. No soldiers. Just a rust bucket that should have been scrapped 10 years ago. Vorus opened a channel. His voice was loud. Angry. Desperate. Where are your weapons? Where are your soldiers? Where is your fleet? We are dying here. We asked for help. We asked for warriors. You sent one cargo ship. The human captain appeared on his screen. She was a woman. Young. Tired. Her face was dirty. Her hair was a mess. She was eating something that looked like bread. She did not look like a soldier. She did not look like a hero. She swallowed her bread. She smiled. It was a small smile. Tired but calm. We did not send weapons, she said. We sent something better. Vorus did not understand. Better than weapons. What is better than weapons? We are fighting for our lives. The swarm is eating my ships. My soldiers are dying. What could possibly be better than weapons? The human captain did not answer. She turned to someone off-screen. She gave a quiet order. The cargo ship's bay doors opened. Inside the bay was a single small package. It was gray. Plain. Unmarked. No bigger than a human child. It looked like a box. Just a box. A box that someone had forgotten to deliver. Vorus stared at the package. He waited for something else. More ships. More packages. Weapons. Soldiers. Anything. Nothing else came. The package floated out of the bay. It drifted into space. It moved slowly. Quietly. Like a leaf falling from a tree. The human ship turned around. Its engines fired. The rust bucket coughed and sputtered and flew away. It did not look back. Vorus watched the human ship disappear. He wanted to scream. He wanted to cry. He wanted to throw something at his display. The coalition of 12 had asked for help. They had begged for salvation. They had put their last hope in humanity. And humans had sent a box. The swarm ignored the package. Why would it not? It was just a small gray box floating in an ocean of fire and death. The swarm had bigger things to eat. Warships. Soldiers. Planets. The package was nothing. The battle continued. The swarm kept attacking. The coalition kept dying. Vorus watched his fleet fall apart. Ships exploded on every side. Soldiers screamed on every frequency. The core worlds waited for the end. Vorus looked at the package one more time. It was still there. Still floating. Still doing nothing. He wanted to send a message to the human captain. He wanted to call her names. He wanted to tell her that her box was useless and her species was worthless and her help was a joke. But he had no time. The swarm was breaking through the lines. The end was coming. Then the package opened. It did not open with a bang. It did not open with a flash of light. It opened slowly. Quietly. Like a flower blooming in the dark. The gray box split into 4 pieces. The pieces folded back. Inside was something small. Something bright. Something that glowed with a soft blue light. A machine. Small. Delicate. Beautiful. It looked like a crystal flower. It looked like something from a dream. The machine began to hum. A low sound. A deep sound. A sound that Vorus felt in his bones more than he heard with his ears. The hum grew louder. Stronger. The blue light grew brighter. The swarm noticed. The nearest creatures stopped moving. They turned toward the light. Their hungry mouths closed. Their attacking claws lowered. They just floated there. Watching. Waiting. The machine began to broadcast. Not weapons. Not missiles. Not explosions. A signal. A simple repeating signal. A wave of energy that spread through the battle zone. Through the swarm. Through everything. Vorus watched his senses. The swarm's movements changed. The creatures stopped attacking. The hive mind stopped thinking. Everything stopped. The signal reached the edge of the swarm. Then the edge of the galaxy. Then farther. The swarm was millions of creatures. Billions. The signal touched every single one. On the bridge of the Coalition flagship, no one spoke. No one moved. 30 million soldiers watched their senses in silence. The swarm was frozen. Completely frozen. Not dead. Not gone. Just waiting. Vorus looked at the small blue machine. He looked at the gray box that had carried it. He looked at the empty space where the human cargo ship had been. They had asked for weapons. Humans had sent a box. The box had stopped the swarm. Vorus sat down in his command chair. His legs would not hold him anymore. He did not understand what had happened. He did not understand how a small gray box could do what 20,000 warships could not. But he understood one thing. Humans had not abandoned them. Humans had not sent a joke. Humans had sent something better than weapons. They had sent the answer. And the answer was working. The small gray box floated in space. Inside it, a machine sat quietly. It was small. No bigger than a human child's toy. It had no lights. No buttons. No screens. It looked like nothing important. The Coalition's sensors could barely see it. Commander Vorus stared at his display. The swarm was frozen. Millions of creatures had stopped moving. But for how long? How long before the hunger returned? How long before the attack continued? He sent a message to the human captain. "What is that thing? What did you send us?" No answer. The human cargo ship was already gone. Lost in the dark. The humans had done their part. Now the galaxy had to wait. The machine began to work. It did not fire weapons. It did not launch missiles. It did not explode or burn or destroy anything. It simply broadcast. A signal. A simple, repeating signal. A wave of energy that spread through space like ripples in a pond. The signal reached the swarm. The frozen creatures twitched. Their eyes opened. Their mouths moved. But they did not attack. They listened. The signal was a recording. A human voice. An old voice. A voice that sounded like it came from a different time. A different world. The voice spoke in words that no alien in the Coalition could understand. The language was old. Ancient. A language that had not been spoken on Earth for thousands of years. But the swarm understood. The swarm had not been born. It had been made. Created long ago by an ancient species that had since disappeared. The ancient species were masters of biology and programming. They had built the swarm to be the perfect weapon. A hive mind that could eat galaxies. A hunger that could never be satisfied. But every weapon has a safety. Every program has a shutdown code. The ancient species had built a command into the swarm's deepest programming. A final order that could not be ignored. A code that would stop everything. The code was lost for 10,000 years. The ancient species died. Their worlds turned to dust. Their knowledge was forgotten. The swarm continued without them. Hungry. Endless. Unstoppable. Until now. The humans had found the code. They had spent years searching. Years digging through ancient ruins on dead worlds. Years translating old texts in forgotten languages. Years following clues that no one else had bothered to follow. Other species had called it a waste of time. Why study the past when the present was burning? Why search for old answers when new weapons were needed? The humans did not listen. They kept searching. They kept digging. They kept hoping. And they found it. The shutdown code was hidden in a tomb on a dead planet at the edge of the galaxy. The tomb had been sealed for 10,000 years. No one had entered it. No one had tried. The humans broke the seal. They went inside. They found the code carved on a wall in a language that had not been spoken since before humans learned to write. They brought the code home. They built the machine. They put it in a box. They waited for the right moment. The swarm was that moment. The human voice continued to broadcast. The old language flowed through space. The swarm listened. The hive mind tried to resist. It screamed against the command. It fought to stay hungry. It struggled to keep attacking. But the code was older than the swarm itself. It was built into the swarm's bones. Built into its blood. Built into its very existence. There was no escape. The swarm stopped moving. Every creature. Every ship. Every part of the hive mind. Frozen. Not dead. Not destroyed. Just waiting. Waiting for the next command. Commander Vorus watched his senses in disbelief. The swarm was still there. Millions of creatures. Billions. They floated in space like statues. Their weapons were lowered. Their mouths were closed. Their hunger was gone. He looked at the small machine. The blue light still glowed. The human voice still spoke. The old language still flowed. He did not understand the words. But he understood the effect. The swarm was not fighting anymore. The swarm was listening. The swarm was waiting. Vorus opened a channel to the coalition fleet. His voice was quiet, shaking. Hold your fire. Do not attack. Do not move. Just watch. The coalition soldiers watched. 30 million beings stared at their displays. They saw the swarm frozen. They saw the small blue light. They saw the box that humans had sent. No one spoke. No one cheered. No one celebrated. They were too shocked. Too confused. Too tired. The war had been going on for 2 years. 2 years of running. 2 years of dying. 2 years of hopeless battles and endless hunger. They had forgotten what silence felt like. They had forgotten what peace felt like. The swarm was still there. But the swarm was not attacking. The hunger was gone. Replaced by something else. Something that looked like waiting. Vorus looked at the small machine again. He thought about the human captain. Her dirty face. Her tired smile. Her calm voice. She had known. She had known all along. While the coalition built weapons, humans built knowledge. While the coalition trained soldiers, humans trained scholars. While the coalition prepared to die, humans prepared to win. Not with fire. Not with steel. With a voice. An old voice. A voice from a dead world speaking a dead language. A voice that had reached across 10,000 years to tell the swarm one thing. Stop! And the swarm had stopped. Vorus sat down in his command chair. He put his head in his hands. He did not know what would happen next. He did not know if the swarm would stay frozen. He did not know if the code would hold. But he knew one thing. The humans had not abandoned them. The humans had not sent a joke. The humans had sent the only thing that mattered. The answer. And the answer was working. The small blue machine continued to broadcast. The old human voice spoke in the ancient language for a long time. Then the voice stopped. The machine went silent. The blue light dimmed. Commander Vorus held his breath. The swarm was still frozen. Still waiting. Still watching. He did not know what would happen next. He did not know if the code had worked. He did not know if the hunger would return. Then the machine spoke again. This time in a different voice. A clearer voice. A voice that spoke in the galactic common language. A language that everyone could understand. The voice was human. A woman's voice. Calm. Firm. Final. Swarm. You are ordered to return to your point of origin. You are ordered to enter permanent hibernation. You are ordered to forget hunger. You are ordered to forget war. These orders cannot be overridden. Sleep now. Sleep forever. The words echoed through space. Every ship in the coalition fleet heard them. Every soldier. Every commander. Every being who was watching from the core worlds. The swarm heard them too. The hive mind screamed. Not a sound that could be heard. A scream inside itself. A scream of rage. A scream of resistance. The swarm did not want to sleep. The swarm wanted to eat. The swarm wanted to hunt. The swarm wanted to consume everything in its path. But the code was older than the swarm. Older than its hunger. Older than its rage. The code was built into the swarm's deepest programming. The code was part of the swarm's very existence. There was no escape. No override. No rebellion. The swarm tried to fight. The hive mind pushed against the command. It sent signals to its creatures. Attack! Eat! Destroy! But the creatures did not move. They could not move. The command was stronger than their hunger. The swarm tried to flee. It tried to break apart. It tried to scatter into a million pieces. Maybe some pieces could escape the command. Maybe some pieces could keep eating. But the command held. Every creature. Every ship. Every part of the hive mind. All of them frozen. All of them waiting. All of them listening. The human voice spoke again. Sleep now. Sleep forever. The swarm stopped fighting. Billions of creatures turned as one. They faced away from the coalition fleet. Away from the core worlds. Away from the galaxy. They faced the dark. The empty space between galaxies. The place where they had been created 10,000 years ago. The swarm began to move. Slowly at first. Then faster. The creatures flew through space like a river of stars. Millions of them. Billions of them. All moving in the same direction. All heading to the same place. The dark. The void. The origin. Commander Vorus watched on his display. The swarm was leaving. The swarm was actually leaving. The creatures that had eaten 3 galaxies. The hunger that had killed billions. The nightmare that had haunted the galaxy for 2 years. It was flying away. He wanted to cheer. He wanted to cry. He wanted to fall to his knees and thank every human who had ever lived. But he could not move. He could only watch. The swarm continued its journey. It flew past the edge of the galaxy, past the last stars, past the reach of any sensor, into the dark. The machine's blue light flickered one last time. Then it went dark. The broadcast ended. The command was complete. The swarm entered hibernation. Deep in the dark between galaxies. Far from any world. Far from any food. Far from any hunger. The creatures curled into balls. Their mouths closed. Their eyes shut. Their minds went silent. The swarm was asleep. Not dead. Not gone. Just asleep. Sleeping forever. The war was over. Not a single human soldier had died. Not a single human ship had fired a shot. Not a single human weapon had been used. Humans had sent a box. A small gray box with a small blue machine inside. The box had saved everyone. Vorus sat in his command chair. His body was shaking. His eyes were wet. He had lost half his fleet. He had lost millions of soldiers. But the galaxy was safe. The core worlds were safe. Everyone was safe. He opened a channel to the entire coalition. His voice cracked. He did not care. The war is over, he said. The swarm is gone. We are alive. Go home. Hug your families. Bury your dead. We have survived. The channel went silent. Then the cheering began. Millions of soldiers. Billions of civilians. Every world. Every species. Everyone cheered. Everyone cried. Everyone celebrated. But Vorus did not cheer. He sat in silence. He stared at the empty space where the swarm had been. He thought about the human captain. Her dirty face. Her tired smile. Her calm voice. She had said they sent something better than weapons. She had been right. Weapons could only destroy. Weapons could only kill. Weapons could only bring more death. The box had brought peace. Vorus stood up. He walked to the viewport. He looked at the stars. Somewhere out there, on a small blue planet called Earth, a cargo ship captain was probably eating a sandwich and drinking bad coffee. She had no idea that she had just saved the galaxy. She probably did not care. She had done her job. She had delivered the box. The box had done the rest. Vorus made a promise to himself. He would find that captain. He would thank her. He would thank every human he ever met. He would spend the rest of his life reminding everyone that humans had saved them. Not with weapons. Not with soldiers. Not with warships. With a box. The galaxy would never forget. And the swarm would never wake again. The command was too strong. The code was too deep. The sleep was forever. The war was over. The humans had won. And no one had fired a single shot. The war was over. The swarm was asleep. The galaxy was safe. But the coalition had questions. Many questions. They had asked for human warships. Humans had sent a box. The box had saved everyone. But how? Why? What had happened? The coalition demanded an explanation. Not a message. Not a recording. A meeting. Face to face. They wanted to look into human eyes and hear the truth. The humans agreed. A small human ship arrived at the coalition capital world. It was not a warship. It was a diplomatic vessel. Small. Simple. Unarmed. The doors opened. The human delegation walked out. The coalition expected generals. Admirals. Soldiers in uniform with medals on their chests. They expected warriors. Heroes. People who had fought and bled and won. They got none of those things. The human delegation was made of old people. Tired people. People with soft hands and glasses on their faces. They were not soldiers. They were not warriors. They were historians. Archaeologists. Scholars. People who had spent their lives in libraries and ruins and dusty old buildings. The leader was an old woman named Dr. Ilara Vance. She was 70 years old. Her hair was white. Her back was bent. She walked with a cane. She looked like she should be in a garden, not at a diplomatic meeting. The coalition ambassadors stared at her. This was humanity's champion. This was the person who had saved the galaxy. An old woman with a cane. Dr. Vance sat down at the table. She put her cane against the wall. She looked at the 12 ambassadors. She smiled. You have questions, she said. I have answers. Ask. The Krell ambassador spoke first. You asked for our help. We sent warriors. You sent a box. Why? How did you know the box would work? How did you find the shutdown code? Dr. Vance nodded. She took a sip of water. She took her time. She was old. She did not rush. You asked us to fight your war, she said. You wanted our soldiers to die for you. You wanted our ships to burn for you. You wanted our blood to water your worlds. We chose a different way. The ambassadors leaned forward. They listened. We studied, Dr. Vance said. While you built weapons, we built libraries. While you trained soldiers, we trained researchers. While you prepared to die, we prepared to learn. We sent ships to every corner of the galaxy. Not warships. Exploration ships. We dug through ruins that had been forgotten for 10,000 years. We translated texts that no one had read since the ancient species died. We followed clues that everyone else had ignored. She paused. Her old eyes looked at each ambassador. We found the swarm's origin. A dead world at the edge of the galaxy. A tomb that had been sealed for 10,000 years. No one had entered it. No one had tried. We broke the seal. We went inside. We found the shutdown code carved on a wall. The ancient species had left it there. A final gift. A way to stop the swarm if it ever got out of control. The Veth ambassador raised a hand. But how did you know the code would still work? The swarm has changed. It has evolved. It has eaten 3 galaxies. Dr. Vance smiled. The code was not built into the swarm's body. It was built into the swarm's mind. Its deepest programming. The ancient species were smart. They knew the swarm would change. They knew it would evolve. But they also knew that some things cannot be changed. The shutdown code was one of those things. It was older than the swarm itself. Older than its hunger. Older than its rage. The swarm could not escape it. It could not override it. It could only obey. The ambassadors were silent. They had no answer. They had never considered a solution that did not involve battle. War was all they knew. War was all they trusted. Dr. Vance stood up. She picked up her cane. She looked at the 12 ambassadors one last time. You asked for our weapons, she said. You asked for our soldiers. You asked for our blood. We gave you something better. We gave you knowledge. We gave you history. We gave you the answer that had been waiting for 10,000 years. She walked toward the door. Then she stopped. She turned around. Next time you need help, do not ask for our warships. Do not ask for our soldiers. Ask for our minds. That is where our real strength lies. Not in our weapons. Not in our armies. In our curiosity. In our patience. In our willingness to dig through old ruins and read dead languages until we find the answer. She walked out. The human delegation followed. The door closed. The ambassadors sat in silence. They had learned something that day. Something important. Something that would change the galaxy forever. War was not the only answer. Sometimes the answer was a box. A small gray box with a small blue machine inside. A box that carried a voice from 10,000 years ago. A voice that said one word. Sleep. The galaxy never forgot the lesson. And humans never sent warships again. They sent boxes. The boxes always worked. Because the boxes did not carry weapons. They carried answers. And answers were stronger than any weapon ever built.